Have you ever wondered what sparked the widespread protests across India in 2020? It was the introduction of a significant piece of legislation, the Citizenship Amendment Act. In December of 2020, the Indian Parliament passed a law that would forever alter the fabric of Indian society, the Citizenship Amendment Act, or CAA for short. This act sought to amend the country's existing citizenship laws, promising citizenship to persecuted religious minorities from 3 neighbouring countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan. But there was a catch. The law specifically excluded Muslims, sparking a nationwide debate on its secular credentials. As the news of the CAA's passage spread, India erupted in protests. These weren't just small, localized demonstrations, but nationwide protests that reverberated across the globe. The epicenter of these protests was the nation's capital, Delhi. The city was transformed into a battleground, with protesters and police clashing on its streets. The intensity of these protests was such that the government had to deploy heavy police forces to maintain law and order. The air was thick with tension, with the government on one side standing firm on its decision, and a large part of the population on the other vehemently opposing the act. The impact of the CAA was not limited to the streets of Delhi. The tremors of these protests were felt across the country, from the lush green fields of Punjab to the sandy beaches of Kerala, from the bustling streets of Mumbai to the serene landscapes of the northeast. The entire nation was in a state of unrest, grappling with the implications of this new law. The introduction of the Citizenship Amendment Act was a turning point in India's history. It was a moment that revealed the deep-seated divisions within the country, divisions that are still being felt today. It was a moment that sparked a debate about the very idea of Indian citizenship, about who is considered an Indian and who is not. And it was a moment that led to a wave of protest, resistance, and dissent that continues to echo across the nation. So the introduction of the CAA led to a wave of reactions. But how did the government respond to this? Faced with widespread protests, the government had to respond. But how? In the face of intense dissent, the government sprung into action. They took proactive measures, deploying security forces extensively across the country to handle potential unrest. The objective? To maintain peace and order amidst the uproar. State police forces too played a crucial role. Uttar Pradesh, known for its large population, and the Northeast, known for its cultural diversity, were particularly active. They issued notifications, laying down guidelines for the maintenance of law and order. They prepared meticulously, strategizing ways to manage the wave of protests that swept across their regions. It was a time of high alert, a time of anticipation. The government, in its bid to implement the Citizenship Amendment Act, was faced with the challenge of managing the situation on the ground. While the government was busy managing the situation, refugees and migrants waited with bated breath for the implications of this act. Imagine being a refugee or a migrant, hoping for a better life. And then this law comes into effect. The Citizenship Amendment Act, a beacon of hope for many, has sparked anticipation among the displaced and the dispossessed. A law that promises to alter the very fabric of their existence, to offer a sense of belonging, a sense of home. The implications of this act for them are profound, shaping their dreams of a secure future into a tangible reality. In the heart of these migrants and refugees, there's a palpable sense of optimism, a perceived promise of citizenship. It's a hope that dawns with the prospect of a life unfettered by the dread of displacement. The ones who stand to gain from this act are embracing this moment with open arms, expressing happiness, relief, and a sense of unburdening. As refugees and migrants anticipated a new future, opposition parties and community leaders raised their concerns. Not everyone was in favor of the CAA. The opposition and community leaders voiced their concerns. This line sets the stage for our discussion on the concerns raised by various opposition parties and community leaders. They questioned the timing and implications of the Citizenship Amendment Act's implementation, particularly its effect on the Muslim community. The opposition parties, in their role as the government's watchdog, questioned the timing of the CAA's introduction. They argued that the country was grappling with other pressing issues, and the introduction of such a contentious law could lead to unrest and division among the citizens. They were concerned that the government's focus was being diverted from addressing more urgent issues. The implications of the CAA were another point of concern. The opposition parties argued that the CAA could potentially marginalize the Muslim community. They feared that the act, by granting citizenship based on religion, could lead to the discrimination of Muslims and undermine the secular fabric of the nation. They contended that the act could be used to target Muslim immigrants, creating a sense of fear and insecurity among them. Community leaders echoed these concerns. They stressed the need for inclusivity and respect for all religions in a diverse country like India. They feared that the CAA could stoke communal tensions, leading to social unrest. They urged the government to reconsider the act and ensure that it doesn't lead to any form of discrimination. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board, a significant body in the Muslim community, took a cautious approach. They emphasized the need for a thorough study of the CAA before issuing any statements on the matter. They urged the government to engage in dialogue with all stakeholders and ensure that the act doesn't infringe upon the rights of any community. In summary, the opposition parties and community leaders voiced their concerns about the timing and implications of the CAA, particularly its potential impact on the Muslim community. They called for a thorough study of the act and dialogue with all stakeholders to ensure that it doesn't lead to discrimination or social unrest. While the opposition voiced their concerns, the common people had mixed reactions. In a country as diverse as India, the reactions to the Citizenship Amendment Act were equally varied. As the news of the Citizenship Amendment Act, or CAA, spread across the nation, the public response was as diverse as the country itself. There was a unique blend of optimism, skepticism, and concern that swept across the various segments of society. On one hand, there were those who welcomed the CAA with open arms. These were mainly groups and individuals who believed that the law would bring about positive changes in the country. They saw the act as a beacon of hope, a chance for many refugees and migrants to finally get the citizenship they had been yearning for. They believed in the potential of the law to elevate the lives of people who had been living on the margins of society for years. However, this optimism was not universal. A significant portion of the population viewed the act with skepticism. They questioned the motives behind the legislation, asking why only certain religious communities were included in its purview. They wondered if the act was a tool to further a political agenda rather than a genuine attempt to assist those in need. They argued that the law could potentially be used to marginalize certain communities rather than uplift them. Then there were those who were concerned. They worried about the implications of the act on the social fabric of the country. They expressed fears about the potential for increased communal tensions and the disruption of the nation's unity and diversity. They called for dialogue, understanding, and compassion in dealing with such a sensitive issue. This mix of reactions to the CAA was a reflection of the vibrant and diverse nature of Indian society. It was a testament to the country's democratic values, where every voice, every opinion matters. The debate around the CAA was not just about a piece of legislation. It was about the values, principles, and ideals that define India. The CAA debate was not limited to India. It caught the attention of media and people around the globe. The world was watching as India grappled with the implications of the CAA. Media outlets worldwide, including Al Jazeera, turned their lenses towards India, highlighting the contentious nature of the Citizenship Amendment Act. They underscored the act's potential impact on minority communities within the country, a narrative that stirred global discourse. From the east to the west, international news platforms echoed the voices of Indian citizens, capturing their concerns, their hopes, and their protests. The world, it seemed, had its eyes on India, offering a stage for this monumental debate. Global reactions varied greatly, reflecting the diversity of perspectives on this issue. Some lauded the Indian government's initiative to provide refuge to persecuted minorities, while others voiced apprehension about the Act's possible implications for India's secular fabric. These reactions suggest that the CAA has sparked not just a national, but a global debate transcending India's borders and resonating on an international stage. The CAA debate reflects a complex mix of perspectives and sentiments within Indian society and beyond. As we delve into the multifaceted reactions to the CAA, one thing is clear. It is a complex issue with far-reaching implications. It's not just a piece of legislation, but a catalyst that has sparked a myriad of emotions across the country. From the government's proactive measures to handle potential unrest, the anticipation among potential beneficiaries, to the concerns voiced by opposition parties and community leaders, the CAA has stirred a pot of diverse perspectives. The reactions of Indian society to the CAA are as varied as its rich cultural tapestry. There's a mix of optimism, skepticism and concern. The media coverage, both domestic and international, further underscores the contentious nature of this act and its impact on minority communities. This debate is not just confined within the borders of India. It has garnered attention and stirred debate worldwide. As we continue to observe the developments around the CAA, we hope for a resolution that respects the diverse fabric of Indian society.